Happiness and Success family, welcome. This video is for anyone out there who wants to get better results in anything in life, okay? Whether you're an athlete, whether you play music instruments for a living, whether you are a teacher of some form, whether you are a lawyer, financial advisor, whether you are a doctor, whatever you do, if you want to become even better, or even in your unprofessional life, your personal life, like if you want to improve your relationship with your spouse, with your children, with your siblings, with your parents, if you want to embark on new projects in life, if you want to do charity work that you haven't necessarily started, that you've always wanted to start, if you want to develop a certain skill that you've always put aside for all kinds of excuses and justifications, this video is certainly for you. So what I want to teach you in this video is the power of visualization. It's the power of mental rehearsing. Now this is substantial, okay, because there've been, and this is what science, research him as well, I guess. This is what science now teaches us, okay. So there were studies done, and lots of people who wanted to learn a certain instrument, let's just say the piano. I can't remember what the exact instrument was. And what they did was they had three types of people. They had one group of people go into the studio where they can learn about how to play these instruments, and they said to them, right, you guys, I want you to rehearse certain ways of playing. Like, this is what you do, these are the notes, this is how you do it. I don't have to know piano, I don't know if you noticed that. This is how it all works, these are the notes, this is how you create the sounds, this is how you move your fingers so that you can hit more of the keys at the right time. I don't know. And they literally got them to play, and as you can imagine, that created new neural networks, new connections within their brain, amongst their neurons. When neurons connect differently to one another in our brain, that creates new thoughts, and therefore that produces new chemicals, new feelings, and this is how you begin to change the pattern, the mental emotional patterns in your life. And this is how you learn things. Yes, this is the key thing here. Because when you learn, the amount of connections in your brain double. They go from 1,300 to 2,600. Now the problem is, and incidentally as a side note here, when you learn something new, your connections in your brain do double, which is fantastic. New connections, new neurons become more intelligent. You're stimulating neurogenesis. You feel more enlightened. You feel more excited in life, and all these sorts of wonderful things. But the problem is, just within 48 hours, up to 80% of that newly learned information, those new connections can fall apart, can prune apart and pull apart over time, and you lose those connections that you made, unless you revisit them. So yes, if you're going to learn something new, which is fantastic, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always learning in all key areas in life: wealth, health, finances, all these sorts of things, relationships, communication, consciousness, all these spirituality. I'm a lifelong learner in all of these departments, okay? And the key here is, once you've learned something, you need to consolidate that learning. You need to revisit, you need to learn it. You can do it anyway. You can learn to teach others how to do the things you just learned, and therefore become better at teaching. You can get a mentor in that area, so you're constantly revisiting this information, learning through your conversations or whatever activities you do with your mentor. And you can watch loads of videos like this over and over again to reinforce that learning. Go, oh yeah, that. You can learn to make notes. Making notes, the act of writing down actually helps you to log the information in your brain, because of the actual kinesthetic actions of writing things down. It helps you process the information. I don't know, lots of different ways. Sleep, learning it during your alpha brainwave state, when in the morning, first upon waking, also before you go to bed, learning this information to help instill it in your subconscious more easily, more readily. All these sorts of great strategies, right? So yes, we want to embed these strategies if we are to truly take control of our lives, to change, to get better results. We need to think new, we need to create new connections in our brain. And as I was saying, that study was gone. Those people learned, fantastic, good for them. They developed those skills. They created those new neural networks in their brain. The next group, people went into this studio and they just said, do whatever you want, go for it. And they were playing the piano, they were playing the guitar, they were playing the violin, the flute, all these sorts of things. And at the end of the day, they didn't learn nothing, because there was no guidance, there was no strategy, there was no discipline. They didn't learn certain skills, like this is what you do, then you do that. They just started playing things and all over the place. And it wasn't deeply embedded in terms of their learning, okay? They weren't able to transfer that short-term knowledge to the long-term memory, because they were all over the place, too spontaneous, too chaotic in their demeanor, in their approach. And so they didn't create necessarily any new networks. Now the last batch is the most interesting, because they went to the studio and they did not physically touch any instrument. Instead, they literally sat there, eyes closed, in silence, and they were told how to play, what the steps involved in developing that skill, how to play the piano in this example. And all they were told to do is deeply visualize themselves playing the piano in the ways that they've been taught. And when you vividly do this over and over again, your unconscious cannot tell the difference between something that is real, such as watching this video. This is real, what's happening, yes. It's not a dream, I swear. And something that is imagined, something that they're visually constructed, such as mental rehearsing, which is what this third group were doing. And very interestingly and very potently, this is what happened, okay? They created the same neural connections. They developed that new neural networking, just like the first group did. And they didn't even need to physically, kinesthetically do these activities. They literally imagined it vividly, in great detail. They associated with the experience in terms of NLP, right? They saw it through their eyes as though the piano was right in front of them, rather than seeing it from a disassociated perspective, from a third person viewpoint, for example. They imagined it in vivid color, really bright, crystal clear, HD resolution, for instance. They zoomed in on the keys rather than seeing it from a distant perspective. They didn't see it like within a portrait in their minds, like it's just in a small part of their mind. They really blew it up and it's surrounded like 3D in their minds. They're very, very powerful. They might have connected some like sounds, different senses, sounds. They might have connected certain. They might have made it like into a movie, because sometimes this can work just through an image. They add some kind of sensory potency to it, if you will. And they develop the same new learning, the same connections. They create new neurons in their brain, because they were learning it, mentally rehearsing, than that first group. And this is absolutely groundbreaking stuff. This tells you the power of visualization, the power of mental rehearsing. And you can do this not just with skills in your life, but you can imagine the kind of life you want if you want to get into better weight. Now, yes, this is the law of attraction to an extent. Now, the reason why the law of attraction works and why it's very powerful is because you're vividly imagining yourself achieving the things that you want. Now, the difference is people kind of imagine themselves doing it half-heartedly, but that never, it's not powerful enough for them to actually make the changes needed in their life to actually acquire things. They're thinking, I'm just going to stay as I am, my existing personality, and I'm just going to imagine winning the lottery and I will do it. It doesn't quite work that way. Instead, you need to really deeply imagine yourself accomplishing these things, whether it be walking on the beach with a body that you've always wanted to have, whether it be, you know, living in a certain kind of lifestyle that you've always wanted, exploring the world. You can imagine yourself traveling to all these lovely destinations and getting enthralled in all these different cultures or whatever it is that you want. And the more you vividly imagine this, you'll begin to create those new connections and therefore those new chemicals in your brain, those new emotions, and you'll begin to genuinely believe that you are that person, that you have that potential, that you're going to start to live it out in real life. And then you start to move around and you'll feel a difference in the way you walk, the way you connect and communicate with people, because you feel as though that person is now you. And you begin to move into the future in the present. And this is very powerful. And you start to change this is the key part, you start to change your behaviors so that you can do that and live that lifestyle, because you feel like it's already you. You're not going to be that timid, shy self who's going to be like, oh, I always wanted to do that, but I don't think I'll actually be able to do it. No, you're going to live it so clearly that you're going to create the new neural networks in your brain that you're going to actually genuinely feel like it's you, and you can accomplish the things that you want in your life. And that's what's going to enable you to really change. It's the art of visualization. It's the art of mental rehearsal. So I hope you appreciate this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and also click the notification bell, because every week I release several videos, and not just normal videos such as these. I also use my one-to-one coaching sessions, so you can learn like the struggles, the changes that people have faced and how they've overcome these fears, so that hopefully you can benefit from doing so as well. You'll see my podcast, the Alex Gem Experience, absolutely amazing podcast every single week coming at you. You're going to absolutely love it. New topics, new information, new conversations, helping you develop in many, many different aspects in your life as well. Make sure you subscribe to that channel too. Yeah, and just look after yourself. Have a great day, stay strong, and I'll see you soon.